Hello and welcome to the video. Once again, my name is Wade Daniel Smith. And I guess about 30 minutes or an hour or so ago, a supposed Christian and I got into a debate, and I got banned off of typing responses on YouTube for hate speech because of my response to him. But the YouTube administrator is wrong. But he tried to claim that God Almighty cannot be righteous and forgive sins except by becoming a man and dying on a cross. Where do Christians get that? First of all, that doesn't make any logical sense. The definition of Almighty is that God has unlimited power and authority to do whatever the hell he wants to, whenever he wants to, and however he wants to. That's the first problem with that. The second problem is that there is no basis for that claim in the Torah or the prophets, what Christians call the Old Testament, what Jews call the only covenant. All right? There is no basis for that claim in the Torah or the prophets. There is nowhere in the Torah and prophets that anyone claims that the Messiah was going to die in our place on a cross to forgive sins. You can read it forward, backwards, upside down, left and right, and inside out, and it flat out is not there. There is no place in the law and prophets where it claims that God was going to become a man. It is not there, especially if you read it in a Hebrew Bible instead of the doctored King James Bible. It is not there. It flat out is not there. There is nowhere in the law and prophets that it claims that God is going to become. In fact, it tells you God is not a man in Numbers 23:19. And God is not the Son of Man. So where do Christians get this nonsense, claiming that God can't forgive sins except by becoming a man and killing himself? That is insanity. Whatever you're worshiping is not God. I had to rebuke my own father 21 years ago, about a year before he died, because one day he was watching a preacher on television, and my own father got mad at the preacher for not mentioning Jesus often enough. And my father was like, "Have you ever realized that this preacher never mentions Jesus? All he ever talks about is God?" And I turned around with my finger and pointed at my father as evenly as I could. And I was only 22 years old. And I told him, "No, you are supposed to be worshiping God, not a man, Jesus." Jesus was a false prophet, whether you will admit that or not. He went around calling himself God in the flesh several times. That's why they tried to stone him, and that's why they eventually crucified him. He was a false prophet, period. The authors of the Torah told you God is not a man and God is not the Son of Man, and they told you not to follow anyone preaching anything other than what Moses taught, even if they somehow do perform a miracle. Miracles are not the standard of truth. Miracles are fakeable. I know how to fake Elijah's miracle of calling down fire to consume an offering, and that scares the hell out of me, but it's easy to fake. It's a chemistry experiment. Miracles are fakeable. And in fact, there's a clue in the text that proves that the author of the text knew that Elijah's miracle was fakeable. But if I did that in Jimmy Swaggart's baptismal tank, I could fake Elijah's miracle with nothing, no chemicals needed, exactly as the text describes, and fire would come out of nowhere and consume the offering in his baptismal tank, and half his congregation would think I was God in the flesh, and it's nothing more than a chemistry experiment. Miracles are not the sign of the standard of truth. The standard of truth is the first rule of logic, that the truth cannot contradict the truth. Jesus was a false prophet. The Torah says that God is not a man nor the Son of Man, and Jesus called himself the Son of Man 10 or 11 times in Matthew and Mark's gospel. So Balaam was absolutely directly prophesying against Jesus 1,300 years ahead of time. God is not a man, and God is not the Son of Man. And man is not a God. If you call yourself a God, StarCraft players and Muay Thai kickboxers and other athletes and video game players that call yourself a God because you think you're good at the game or whatever, you are not a God of anything. You are a man. You are an animal. You are a creation. You are not a God of anything, and you're going to die and go to hell if you claim you are.